Cash and the ticket is yours. Cash and the ticket is yours. Cash and the ticket is yours. Yours.
Got lots of love. Got lots of love. Got lots of love. 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 Love.
welcome back. It's a brand new season of CGL.
This is just an absolute treat. These players are so damn good.
The talent on these teams is undeniable. Everybody on every team right now is making plays.
It's going to be an exciting start to the season, and it'll just get better from here on out.
We're about to step to a whole new era of Overwatch esports. So much exciting action is happening here on CGL that you do not want to miss.
Look who's starting it all off. It's Raven. No one necessarily figure out what is the right way to go just yet.
What a nice roll through him. It's just gonna solidify everything within those.
Does come back, and Arsario gets the mech, but I don't need a mech. I'll kill 4 anyway.
This is just a highlight reel for Arsario right now.
They're making a statement in the EU Masters here.
This patch is still incredibly fresh. There's so much to learn, so much to change about the way we play the game.
NKC with the shatter is colossal.
Let's get it going.
Trades keep coming through. Laura, is he gonna be able to find these shots true?
Edu on the overclock with 2.
Here comes an Anvil immediately comes back like fine skills, slicing and dicing their way through 2, 3, so back and forth.
Week 3 of CGL is upon us here, and we are starting to rally through, and we are halfway through the first half of this season. Teams rallying to get to that mid-season tournament right now, and 2 teams still rallying for their spots. One team hoping to go into the positive, and the other team just hoping to pick up their first win. And thank you very much for joining us on this Thursday afternoon, evening, wherever you might be in the world right now. I'm joined here by Spectreon, and Spec, today should be a fun day because while these teams are a little bit lower on the standings, these teams unfortunately have had a bit of a bad rap to start out the season.
Yeah, that they have. Of course, we've got the God Stack taking on ODL University. One of them, I believe the God Stack is 0-2, and oh, sorry, my mistake. Sorry, that would be the God Stack being 1-2. But ODL University, Godstack have both played against EMC Helheim. ODL University took them all the way to 5 maps. The Godstack got 3-0'd by them. So on paper, there's the victory advantage for the Godstack. Comparatively, using the Overwatch maths, ODL University might have the advantage. And so, considering how many one-sided games we've had earlier, from pretty much every SNO we've had, and the first game of the tournament that I cast as well. Hopefully we have something a little bit closer now.
Yeah, unfortunately, been a bit of 3-0 land so far on a lot of our broadcasts at the start of the season. But as things keep going on, these games obviously will get closer, especially we get to that mid-season tournament area. And of course, a lot of matches still to come away that you can enjoy. Of course, Godstack ODL University tonight, but got some more content later tonight. NA game going to come online. It's going to be a matchup here between Hamcho Boys and BSC Bobcats VA. Maybe have the back-to-back bangers. That's what we always hope for here on the broadcast, but we'll have to find that out later tonight. But, as for today, again, 2 squads that just kind of had this unfortunate start to the season, which partially fault of their own, but also the fact that you've gone against really good teams to start out the season, and that can sometimes give you a bad rap because you don't really sometimes fully realize how strong the teams you are facing, but there's always room to grow. We're early on in the season. Both these teams still an opportunity to somehow get into that mid-season mid-season tournament.
That mid-season tournament, though, means that any wins they find here will be so much more impactful. Take a look at the 5 players who are looking to get their way there. Godstack going to be coming up first. It's going to be Ton Mikita, Sky Commander, Ekaj, and MCG. It's going to be the Godstack. Remember, this team, on paper, comparatively, maybe a little bit weaker. They do have that 1 win, though, so their mental might be a little bit stronger. Their opponents, though, ODL University, looking to take them down. That is going to be Hades, Solar, Hutchie, Staney, and Esker. Now, obviously, that winless record isn't all that pretty, but again, taking Helheim all the way to 5 is super, super valuable, super, super impressive as well. And so, though they haven't actually got the scores on the doors that would really allow them to, catapult themselves into that mid-season tournament, in terms of the firepower, on paper, they've most definitely got it. And so, if I were a betting man, then I'd probably put some money on ODL University to take this series.
Yeah, giving that first win gives you a little bit of confidence. It puts you in the situation to be in a 2-2 where thanks to those couple of map wins they got early on, it's not impossible for them to get into that midseason tournament, but don't want to look too far ahead. You want to focus on this game. You want to get it done. Of course, I want to check out our maps, though, because while we're in the regular season, maps are predetermined. So we're not going to start out on Lijiang Tower. We've got Nepal, Hanaoka, Coliseum, and Watchpoint Gibraltar to follow. And God forbid if we need a 6th map of control, we will determine that when we get there. But as for Lijiang Tower, I mean, Spec, this is one of the maps that I consider where the meta can kind of flourish a little bit. You don't have to run one specific composition, but we do know with the way things have been, 2 metas have been pretty prevalent thus far.
Yeah, I mean, Lijiang Tower, I can't lie, I'm a smidge sick of. Having played OWCS, it's impossible to get any other map. So we'll be seeing some more of that. And, you know, these two teams being competitors themselves, they're sure going to have that same amount of experience there. So, you know, it isn't kind of pigeonhole itself into playing any specific composition. The meta's strong enough if you want to play Brig Juno. Or any other variation, really. But equally, you can get away with pretty much anything. It looks like to be starting on Gardens. And on this point specifically, there's a lot more room for kind of Wrecking Ball, Farah, if that's what you want to go towards yourself. Plenty of options, of course, when we go over to Control Center. It's going to be a smidge more brawly. Plenty of variety that you could have, but at the end of the day, if you've been scrimming the meta, if you've been practicing the meta, if you've been having success in the meta, why not just play that everywhere?
Yeah, that Demon and Ramatra seem to be the 2 biggest tanks right now, and they kind of form that kind of different kind of meta around them. Obviously, a lot of the Juno, a lot of the Brig, a little bit of that Curie as well. DPS have a little bit more openness, as you kind of suggested, but we'll see what both teams want to start out on here. And right now, it's looking like Godstack looking like they're going to go towards that Ramatra style, probably baiting with the Lifeweaver, I imagine. But I mean, Reinhardt potentially coming out. I mean, Reinhardt's not bad necessarily. Ramatra just unfortunately is a little bit of a better state right now. But if they wanted to make this happen, I think they genuinely could.
They're still cooking with the changes, so I'll wait to pass judgment before everything's absolutely locked in. Moira 4 ACAD seems permanent. Very curious, actually, considering Moira's main advantage over the BAP is being a little bit more survivable. Not really in a Tracer patch, so we'll have to wait and see how that works out. This is a real comp, by the way. This Reinhardt with the Juno. Not much sustainability for Hutchie, but does have that speed.
Yeah, going to cause a little bit of separation, and Solar not going to get the chance to block either, so immediately getting forced away. Asker going to be lucky to be able to survive, and now for the time being, ODL University, I mean, in a sense, has to give up the point here, likely not going to be able to re-engage, so they're just going to have to get the long rotation around and play the long game here.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, they get wiped out first, so all you can do is reset. They're not going to give up too much percentage, because the point has only just unlocked, so now they can start with their regress.
Yeah, 100%. Right now, kind of everyone trying to work up to their ultimates. No one particularly close, but Sky Commander is already coming up on that 60% here right now. But needs to focus on staying alive, getting a bit of pressure, as Khan is going to get rid of Solo to start out this fight. So ODL, already a bit of a rough spot. No one in a really good situation to take care of Khan now. So Hutchie just needs to try to drill away and hopefully take somebody out in this situation. But right now, you can see the separation being caused right now. Hutchie being run down, sitting super low. Unfortunately, taken out. Hades does manage to finally find one, but could be too little too late in here. Going to clean things out. Right side is, you know, they work up to a good amount of ultimates, but you're going to see the exact same for Godstack.
I hate to instantly move to flaming compositions, but I'm not sure I'm a fan of what ODL University have run out on. I mean, obviously lovely work from Con there, but I mean, with this kind of Brig Juno backline, you're really good at enabling flankers. You've got a decent amount of healing for your tank, but Ryan kind of is an all-or-nothing hero. If you're not fully investing into him, he's going to be a weakness, and I think we're seeing that here. The amount of resources that he's taking means that Hades Solar can't get the work that they want to get done. Up to a Shatter now, along with that Juno ultimate. This could be a very strong fight, though, for the University.
Yeah, right now, if this Shatter does find the intended target, the shield's down right now. They can just shatter this and take the solo, but he's looking for the big one. Going to find, again, just Sky Commander. That's all you need, though. Managed to get rid of 2, and now your situation, you're trying to clean up the point here. Gonna unlock it 72%. Fair percentage, but at the end of the day, you use 2 of your ultimates, and Godstack dies so quickly, they don't even have the time to use any ults to respond.
Yeah, I mean, it's a virtually unlosable fight from ODL University, so, you know, congrats for converting that, but the real test is now Godstack going to have essentially 5 ultimates here, just missing out that pulse bomb, and ODL University, they don't have their strongest check marks to repulse them, so an early engage or a pick like that is exactly what they need.
EKAJ going down, and without your Moira, you can't do a thing. And now you have to transition with them to make sure they live, but the Fire Strike going to get rid of that Cassidy, and now this is the aggression I want to see, because if you're playing the Rhine, you have to keep a level of aggression. You can't act second.
And right now, that's exactly what they're doing. Lovely pick there, allows them to charge closer to their ultimate. Solar now is going to be reaching that Blizzard before the next fight is over, very likely. Therefore, again, the gold stack want to go quick.
Yeah, and you see that come online, the rally and the Bob being used, and now Sky Commander hoping to find something here. EKAG does get taken out by the Bob, and right now, Sky Commander doing a whole lot of damage, but not finding any actual kills this far, and eventually they're going to run out of HP, taken out. Trades are coming around, though. Staney, he's out right now, as Khan's hoping to try to pull this back a little bit, but no way to get out of that one, and now ODL University managed to pull this one back, with Hades getting a nice finishing fix there.
Super sloppy fight there from the gold stack, actually. I mean, Akash gets taken down by a deep Bob. As Moira, you don't really have to do that. You just don't have to die to Bob because of your fade, because of your healing. And so, huge individual mistake there to get punished. No coal value found. The beat isn't reinvested to keep the pressure going. And now, heading into the last fight, they're funneled into a choke with a Blizzard.
Ooh. Yeah, and that's going to be really tough now, because now bolt holes have to be expended. Everyone's sitting in there right now. That's going to catch on to at least to the Deadeye, though, is going to be used to expel a little bit of room. Make sure to keep everybody alive, so that's a very fair trade. And Solar ends up getting caught. The Shatter, hoping to find something. Just get EKAJ. They are going to be able to be taken care of in time right now, but as things are right now, Godstack has a bit of disadvantage on this fight right now. They still have a lot of things to work with here, but unfortunately, Hades is still kind of untouched, cleaning it up. They've got the 2K right now. Now it's just the rest trying to focus on stalling this out, trying to force the overtime more and more, but unfortunately, EKAJ not going to make it back, and ODL University pulling it back, and Godstack, I think, falling apart just a little bit there.
Yep, they got it to work at ODL University. Godstack, it did seem that they were a smidgen uninspired after that first fight. I think while scaling into a comp like this is pretty tricky, the poke of the Ashe, the May, I believe it was at times, and the Juno combined is incredibly threatening. But also, I mean, you're playing a Brawl comp. Scaling is one of the crucial skills that you learn while, playing that composition. And so struggling there doesn't really invite a crazy amount of confidence here. That being said, moving over to this Juno backline is going to be so much easier for them to play. And if ODL University run out on this Juno Lucio, while they have the speed advantage, with the throughput, it's just not there. But it looks like ECAJ wants the Brigitte instead. There's no dive here to mark, though. It might be a mistake.
Yeah, it's going to be a little rough right now, and again, ODL with this composition, they have all that speed. They realistically want to go first, and that's why you're going to see them realize the pressure out. They're going to back off, get their cooldowns back together, rest that shield a little bit. I mean, meanwhile, Hades wants to stay up on this off angle. They're likely going to be playing by themselves or with Esker, just to have a little bit of support on the off chance that Khan or Tormakita decide to go for them. So now, points going to unlock here. Sky Commander hoping to find something. A lot of bodies to hit. Unfortunately, not able to hit any of them, but we're going to start with the point. But Spec, at this point, they're already in a rough spot here because ODL is pretty much set up where they want to be.
That's true, but point control is a valuable tool and one that Godstack look to press as they press off of it into the rest of ODL University. That's a frag found.
Yeah, and I'm a little confused by this right now, is that they're stacked up, and here's the thing. With the way we are in this meta, even if you're doing the Rhine, you don't want to be stacked up. You want to have your Brig with your Ashe on an off angle. There's no point in running this if you're not going to do that.
I'm worried about this Annihilation. Sky Command is 10% off. ODL University, they're going to be pushing into it, and they just don't have the check marks to repulse it.
No, not at all. Unfortunately, they're going to have to grit their teeth and hope they can somehow wall it off and take care of them very, very quickly, but that's not going to be an easy task. And right now, you see Sky Commander already blocking, going to go in with it, managing to find a couple of targets in their side. Right now, Solar not going to be able to get into the block in time. We do see Hutchie kind of trade things out here, and in fact, Hades, again, coming back online with that clutch. Hutchie might have given their life for it, but we got to find out if that's going to be worth it right now, as they're going to send down that orbital ray, and as things are right now, not going to keep Esker alive, and now they're going to get forced out, and now for ODL University, this is when it's truly not working, but with 5 ults, they should be able to pull this next fight away.
Yeah, I was going to say, huge ult advantage as well. With the Orbital Ray, when you have advantage on that ultimate, it makes it essentially a free fight win. That ultimate is crazy powerful, especially in that current patch. So ODL University should have this conversion for free. It's all about being as frugal as possible with the check marks that they do have.
Yep, Swall's going to be used, and Swall's already down, and Hive lost the free, so now you don't have a second thing to give her Sky Commander. The Bob's going to come out, but they're getting wiped away before they're going to make anything. They're going to lose the rally for free. 2 ults go down the drain here, And the Shadow's going to be used too, and it's going to get nothing. They've used 3 ults, and now you wonder if they can even get to the point in time.
Staney's gone off the map, but there's no chance for a touch if the Brigitte isn't there to play for it. Doesn't matter how quickly you move, it's just going to be an impossibility.
Ooh.
I tell a lie. Hutchie's there. Orbital Ray pops. What more could be said?
I mean, but this is still a rough situation. The solo Death Blossom to try to get rid of Esker. Eventually going to get rid of them, and it's just a stall game. And the stall game, not going to work out for ODL University. And Godstack feeling a little better there. They decided to go with the comp where they want to go first every single time. And unfortunately, ODL, they started out that way. But when you invest in an Ashe, you typically need them on that off angle, especially if you're going to have the Brig. I think that's just a bit of a misplay on their composition.
I mean, the sidelines just aren't there for an Ashe on a map like this. It's very short, very brawly, where an Ashe kind of thrives on these longer sightlines where you can find value from, cycles, using your dynamite, controlling the sightlines. Here, you can't really do that. You just want to be able to put as much DPS into the front line as possible. And so, a Cass would have been better, in my opinion. A Bastion, in some cases, is going to be better. A Sim could be better. And not seeing any of those isn't great, but here it's much more the Ashe's speed, when you can just harass that walk if you try and cross through gardens, for example.
Yep, and we're going to see the TP going to be set up. Everyone going to go through it clean as can be. And now, this is where ODL University really need to think out how they want to take this, because realistically, this round wants to stay in front here, but you have a bit of an option as Hades to take a bit of an off angle. You can get chased, but you do have the ability to get away thanks to that coach gun, but as you can see right now, they're all just standing down the alleyway right now, trying to poke away, trying to get rid of somebody, build up to some kind of ultimate, maybe find a pick. But as things are, this point's going to unlock, and we see Esker basically go for the point touch when they don't need to, but Hutchkey ends up getting to the Reaper, call it out in that situation, so now point going to flip over to Godstack. But as things are, Hutchkey now has the option to push in. They're going to be able to do so. Sky Commander hoping to find something here. Going to have that Nemesis 4 back online, but not quite in time, and it looks like slowly but surely gonna give up the point. Only 30% as well, and Khan might take a slow death here. Oh my god.
One of the things I'm really in favor of, if you lose first fight with a Symmetra, don't stick on the hero. If you try and go for the window TP again, it will be marked, it will be punished. But 80% to wall, I expect the Godstack to probably end up staying. That they will do. ODL University, especially if they position Hutchie, Solar, Hades correctly, they have an absolutely perfect TP punish if the Godstack go for that same play again.
Yeah, they want to use that TP somehow, some way, even if you're just using it as a fake out to try to force them to turn. That's always a possibility too, but they're going aggressive with it instead. Here's Sky Commander hoping to find something in the back line. It's just losing sight. It's just getting ankles crossed by Hades. Hades is going to get out of there, and unfortunately, fight's already over. Sky Commander not likely to get out alive here.
Somebody buy that man Google Maps, because he does not know where he is. Sky Commander totally lost in the backline. Could have had a free kill on Hades, but instead all he's going to get is an Icicle to the Dome. Ult's coming online for both sides though. But ODL University with choke control, pretty much every manner of speaking. I mean, they've got such good ability to just jam the Godstack in. Be it a Shatter, a Blizzard, a Rally. I mean, they're just in such a strong scenario right now.
Yeah, and again, they're going to keep the sim, and I understand you want to get that wall line. They're going to send the TP. Not going to use it for anything, though. Just going to send it out. KJ is going to go down in the situation. Sky Commander down as well. Again, the fight ending pretty much as soon as it began, and now you don't have any survivors realistic getting out of this. You maybe managed to get MCG out. You do, but now you're going to the final fight. And this Shatter, once that shield goes down, that Shatter could just end this right here and now.
Exactly, that's the real threat here. Yeah, Con's going to be making a change over to the Mei. I think this is a lot better. It gives you Brawl win, Cons. It gives you a bit more survivability into this. Shatter's blocked by the Brigitte!
That is way too early to commit to that. You need to put yourself in a situation where they are more clumped together. Again, that was just a bit of a raid by Hutchie trying to make it work, but Hades still on the scene, manages to get rid of one. Hutchie, rough situation, has both sports behind them, but right now, Sky Commander hoping to find some bodies on the point, but everyone kind of slowly trying to leave it so it runs out, but the fight's pretty much done and over with here. A misplay on the Shatter. Bright side is, you get up those two big ultimates, but I think just a bit of a misplay on that Shatter.
Yeah, I mean, that was so early, even I wasn't expecting it, and obviously I can see through walls. I mean, just fully ripped it, and I don't mind the idea, but obviously didn't found that success. ODL University, pretty dry on ults, but they've got so much time that they will be able to charge into their DPS tools. Ton Makita, this Blossom, all the Godstrike have to work with, but an aggressive push with it could be devastating.
Yeah, 100%. Now, there's still a possibility, and they don't know. Now they see it, okay, but they're still going to think about it. Six health. Almost ended up going down, and now the free's going to come online here, and you see them in the background. They're going to look for it. They're going to send it down. It's going to get a whole lot of nothing, though. Hades cleaning it up once again. Already has gotten 2. You just have Khan. No one else is going to come back to this point. ODL University making this Ryan comp work right now in Godstack. I mean, half the time, I don't think they quite knew where they were at in some of these fights.
Yeah, I mean, that was, again, just going a little bit too late there with the Death Blossom. You know, giving your opponents time to charge into their ultimates without having a real opportunity to build up some of your own. That's tricky. That's really tricky. And so you just need to win that fight off your mechanics. It doesn't come through, unfortunately. And so as we see a replay here, it's just a quick and clean retake from ODL.
Yeah, 100%. And again, I was concerned before with the way that they were trying to play this composition because, again, it's not the way it is intended based upon the meta, but you can still make it work. And it's clear in the 2 maps where it was stronger, it did end up working. So, I mean, props to them at the end of the day. It can work really well. Unfortunately, obviously, we'll talk about the next map here in a moment, but next map, Reinhardt's not exactly the character you want to run, so I'm curious what their substitution is going to be in this situation as we're going to head to Nambani, pretty much the nemesis of Reinhardt, I would say.
That sounds a lot like a lack of motivation in SimTPs to me. We'll just have to wait and see. Yeah, Nambani is normally not the strongest Ryan map in the world, I'll put it that way. You know, if you can move away from the Brawl, then you probably would want to. Diva here is going to absolutely feast. Winston as well. These mobile dive picks are going to be so much more comfortable, and what I would very much expect to see as these two teams have something absolutely diabolical cooked up in the oven. Have to wait and see, of course. And, you know, teams playing as strangely as this, not looking to make any subs, by the way. At least glancing at the lobby, but maybe there is some time. Oh no, we do have a sub coming through, but it looks like it's on the backline.
The backline, that's interesting, because in this situation, both teams seem pretty comfortable to run what they were running, which involved like that bridge, you know, like style, but at the same time, that is the question of what you're bringing in. What could you bring in terms of playing a specific character? Could you bring in that would be more comfortable than running like that Brig Juno composition, which at that point, maybe you're bringing in an Ana player, maybe you feel a little comfortable doing the Ana Brig stuff still, in a situation where you're trying to dive. That's always a potential option.
Have to wait and see, really. I mean, I'm an Ana fan, honestly. I think Ana Brig is slept on slightly in this meta. I think that Juno is kind of being played everywhere, and while I think Juno provides a lot of help, in scenarios where all you want is your tank to just go kill 5 players, Ana Brig is very, very comfortable. And so we'll probably see some of that, especially on a map like Nambani, where you've got these higher grounds to play around that are so strong for this backline. In particular, the added survivability that Juno gets over an Ana isn't that valuable. The speed you get maybe isn't as valuable as well if you can already cross that distance. It's an option, definitely, and probably what we would expect to see. That being said, I am slightly on my own in this one, but I'm a huge fan of like double flex support comps like Ana Kiri. If we see any of that, I'll be very, very excited, because in my opinion, those are actually very strong in current patch.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's an impossibility, to be quite honest with you. I think just we get to the situation with a lot of metas on Overwatch where once 1 or 2 metas are present, everyone's going to scrim them for the most part, which means you typically want to learn them as well. People get very comfortable with it. But you come across these situations where you do pull out things like a Kiriana, and like the team I'm on, occasionally we have pulled that out in the past to pretty good succession. So I don't think like you're quite alone on this one, Spec. But we'll have to find out in a moment. Right now, is it looking like we got a quick little pause, getting things figured out. But one thing we do know is that ODL University is going to be starting out on the attack. It currently looks like, which is a little interesting.
They're complaining about your uni Wi-Fi in their chat. I gotta say, as the least biased person ever, like, I actually, not ironically, uni Wi-Fi for me is not that bad. It gets a bad rap, honestly. Edgerome is not the spawn of Satan. It's pretty playable. I had, what, 1 DC, I think, in my whole year of being on uni Wi-Fi, so honestly, I don't think it gets a bad rap. I'm gonna be the one to stick up and defend Edgerome.
You know what? I'll stand behind you on that. Why not? But I was gonna get into this game momentarily here. Again, I'm curious what these teams want to bring out here. I imagine there's gonna be a lot of dive being brought in, whether it is the D.Va or the Winston, because I think both are still very good. It just really depends on the style of how you want to play it still. With both tanks, you can int a lot with it, but I still think in some situations, Winston honestly still feels pretty strong if you've got the right DPS line with it. But as things are looking right now, we have a little bit more of a traditional, as we are going to see the on a break coming out here from Godstack and ODL University currently looking like they're going to rock the same thing.
I like both these comps. I think that the Godstacks is going to be a lot easier, especially on first point. Solo is going to really struggle scaling on Echo. You have bad 1v1s into basically everybody who's not the backline, to be honest.
Yeah.
So hopefully that Echo isn't a permanent choice from them. I have to wait and see if this Pharah ends up being it instead. It's going to be a little bit easier, still pretty rough. That being said, though, once we get off that first point, it's where I think the Winston's really going to open up a little bit more, where D.Va can't easily cross those distances with the fly. I think kind of second point is going to be a smidge more comfortable for ODL University.
Yeah, for a lot of teams, the biggest barrier is really getting through this first point, because as we know, defense here is very strong here on this first point of Numbani, but right now, as I would imagine right now, as Solar is already going to get poked out of here, that Brig is going to be kind of the main proprietor of their heals. And you need to really watch, because Sky Commander is mainly going to focus on counter-diving in the situation, pretty much jumping back the moment that Hutchie decides to go in, as we're going to get to the second pause of the map to get things rolling. So let's talk a little bit more about how ODL might struggle in this situation. I like the Tracer, I like the Pharah in this situation, but I want to know how you feel about it, because I don't know if I feel as strongly about it as I would normally hope.
It's normally good against a comp like this specifically. Again, it's going to be a little bit tricky. The Pharah has a couple of advantages over the Echo. Not being so burst heavy means that you can sit back and spam from a bit of a safer angle. In that respect, I do think it's a bit stronger. But when you've got the D.Va to kind of eat up all that poke so comfortably, as well as to kind of mark the dive, it's going to probably have to be a kind of 2-3 stage fight, where the most important thing is going to be poking out the D.Va first and foremost. Once you've got that space from the commander, then you can start staging for your dive properly, because, you know, it's what, 700 HP D.Va? That's essentially an immovable force that you're going to really quite struggle with. So the God Stack, in a very, very simple defensive setup to play. ODL University, I mean, you know, without getting the poke, without getting the full D-mech essentially on the mech, you kind of just need a Tracer Jewel to open this up.
I mean, in a sense, yeah, because eventually Hades and Khan are going to find each other, because more than likely, you're going to see Hades kind of go up that top left area, the staircase, and maybe focus on looping around to at least draw attention and be able to force the Tracer 1v1, so that there's less backup when eventually they're going to poke out and Hachi will go in. But for the time being right now, going to see if they're going to go in. Right now, you can see them just trying to kind of mess around with Sky Commander right now, kind of seeing what they want to do. Unfortunately, Hades not going to quite win the Tracer 1v1, so which means pretty much everything just has to come to a halt.
Yeah, I mean, you can maintain, bus space. You can maybe jostle for the absolute back of the high ground, but without a Tracer threat, you're playing a 5v4. You need to press whatever positional advantage you have, because you won't be able to just take it back if it gets taken back away from you. Goes in, just punished instantly. Hutchie's really struggling right now.
Yeah, that's what's going to happen, unfortunately, in this situation. Now going to go for the backline here, but on a Brig are very strong, and they are not going to go down in this situation. Right now, Hutchie causing a whole lot of chaos, but all heals are together. Sky Commander barely managing to stay alive, and Hutchie might be in the same situation here, as we do have a tick going over right now, close to a second tick potentially, as they're going to do a quick little regroup, get their bearings back together, but they're going to go in hot. Khan finally going to go down in that situation. Hades taking the 1v1. Hutchie ends up not getting hit with that. Not sure where that nade quite went to, but we do know right now it's just these three remaining, likely not going to be able to survive here, and if anything, going to slowly die in this room after a heck of a sleep.
Yeah, that caught me off guard, but it looks like the result will still be the same. Just some cleanup here for ODL University. Looks like they were going off Pharah rockets as the go sign, actually, which is one of the advantages of the Pharah. You know, with an Echo, you'd have to wait for the sticky. With an Ashe, you have to wait for a dynamite. But with Pharah, it's just a single direct, and you can send your monkey all the way in, zoning all that backline so effectively. And remember, when Sky Commander goes back to mark, even though Hutchie's under pressure, it means that essentially everybody is focusing on that monkey. And so Hades and Solar can do whatever they will. That's how Hades finds this 1v1 against Con. and how ODL University open up Numbani here.
Yeah, and as things are right now, we're looking at 10 ultimates going into this fight, realistically speaking. We could see a lot being used here. In fact, I think it's very likely, unless something really quickly closes out here, whether the Nano and Sky Commander is able to do a lot, or Solar just manages to find out a couple of bodies over here with this barrage. But as things are, we're kind of just waiting around, trying to hope it. But David and K is going to go on first and foremost, and that is not the place you want to be. Barely going to be able to slide away from that bomb as we're in the 4v4. Hutchie currently trying to find something with this Primal Rage, unfortunately, on a Brig, doing a great job kind of staying together, but in the meanwhile, the rest of the team is kind of suffering out there right now as, again, they're going to keep each other alive, and Hutchie, he's going to be lucky to get out of here alive, quite frankly.
Yeah, for the most part. I mean, losing that first kill on David NK is absolutely humongous there. The God Stack were always in an advantageous position there, and Sky Commander being allowed back in the fight just a little bit faster than the Ana, huge as well. Nano Boost back in the fight, but this time it has to be administered.
Yeah, and getting on is out. We're going to see the Pulse Bomb being used right now as the Nano is brought onto the Diva. Does end up waking up Sky Commander, but I think damage just kind of already been done here as Hutchie is, again, just drawing a bunch of attention, and now they're forced to back out. Rally has been expended, and now both teams have nothing to work with this fight.
Nade? Oh, there's no follow-up. That's absolutely heartbreaking. I tell a lie. Hades is there. A punch from downtown means that ODL University can probably keep it moving. There's a reaggress, but I don't think he'll find too much. Yeah, Cap is going to come through in just a smidgen.
Yeah, you see, got another shot. What? Hello? And it caps! They don't drop quick enough. It looked like Tamakita and Khan were going to actually win that fight. Oh.
Yeah, that got really competitive for a second there, but all's well that ends well for ODL University. They can go back over to, apparently, their patented Reinhardt with David and Solar and Hades all swapping. Curious here. I understand that normally it's a little bit harder for dives to stage here, but Ryan as well, going to really struggle getting into effective range of that Rocket Hammer.
Yeah, I think part of it is, one, just the comfortability of Ryan over the Ram, but I think in a situation as well, you have somebody who can live very comfortably on the point with that shield, because that is a lot of shield to work with. 1600 health is a lot to burn through. Unfortunately, Hades does not have 1600 health. They get burned through very quickly, as we find out, as they're forced out, and now Scott Stack, now they're able to get comfortable in this situation, and in terms of actual composition, theirs just happens to be a little bit better, so I think ODL is just going to have to work up to some ultimates for the next fight or two.
Probably, yeah, but I think the real issue is going to be breaking through the God Stacks. Obviously, right now, just Bob and Bomb, not the end of the world, but Nano Boost at 30% away is going to be a real issue, especially now you don't really have tools to stop a Diva from just soloing your backline.
Yeah, and just like that, you already lose David and K. You're kind of forced out in this situation. You get rid of the Bob, which is great, but then they just work up to another ultimate, and that's how this rotation starts, and that's why it's going to be so strong for Godstack and ODL. Again, not really all that closer to their ultimates either.
Yeah, I mean, Nano's online now. Briggle's getting much closer. That rally is basically going to allow you to brawl on brawl with ODL. Yeah, they're mirroring the Diva. That's going to make it so much easier. Your win cons become a lot more simplistic. I'll put it that way. Yeah. Still, the ult advantage that Godstack have means that this 2.5 minute time bank is maybe going to look like 30 seconds when all's said and done here. So, are definitely on the back foot now with the aggressors.
Yeah, 100% here. I like the Diva swap as well. We'll kind of half and half right now. Sky Commander, bit of a rough situation getting forced out as the Pulse Bomb somehow still managed to get Esker, unfortunately. So, already down to the 5v4 situation. You lose the one ultimate you had sitting by, unfortunately. So, again, you have to back off. And, I mean, ODL have been held this corner now for what has been essentially 2 minutes now.
And they can continue to do so. They only use a pulse from that fight. They've still got support ults. They've still got their self-destruct. ODL University, though, support ults of their own. And we've been bigging up the Juno all series long. David NK going to make some miracles with it, though.
I mean, 100% right now. Already people getting low. They're getting burnt by the Diamond. They're getting pushed up by Sky Commander. And they have a Bob just in case. But Juno and the Bob going to be used here. Hoping to double down the situation. Khan's in a rough situation on top right now. But Sky Commander does have the get out of jail free card. They choose to use the bomb and get some space. They could, but huge. Solar has already gotten rid of 2 right now, popping off once again, and now we have the Brig 1v1 in the corner, getting interrupted here by Hutchie. They're going to clear away eventually, and now minute 20 on the clock here. Retouch, very possible, but Sky Commander's going to have to use the... They're not. They're just going to straight up just die.
Yeah, I mean, there'll be a touch anyway. You'd rather have the bomb for stalling out the objective in the end there. Just using the Juno ult to buy the space outside the choke was huge. Allowed them to swing their DPS up right side as Con decapitates Hades.
Oh, that's so unfortunate. I really wish ODL would have, like, just committed the full 3 on that point in that situation. I'm not saying they would have capped, but they had a possibility, quite frankly, and now... now they lose all that positioning, and your ults are fine, but they're not great, per se.
I mean, with Bomb and Dragon, maybe you can force one into the other, set up a maybe kind of Kobayashi Maru scenario, but I don't love your odds at that at all. I really could not tell you how ODL University are going to win this out, bar a solo one-tap.
Yeah, I mean, the way you get rid of it is you get rid of Tomakita. That's what has to happen here, genuinely. They have to go down. And that's okay. Well, I say it, and it shall be. And now you lose out on getting your Bob in time. Hutchkey is going to be able to stay alive as well. Cons end up going down, and now it's just the stall from Sky Commander. Is the support's trying to stay alive right now, but getting hard pressured right now. Not going to be able to stay alive. Push coming through. 10 seconds remaining. Hoping to get the Bob on time. It's coming back, and it's going to be able to support this point. But it's going to, unfortunately, going to hit them perfectly. And now, overtime, going to get forced. Bomb up in the air. It's going to come down. Land not where you would hope, but Hutchkey is still managing to hold down the point as things are. They are just surrounded by everybody and everything here. But you can't get off this point right now. Right now, eventually going to come through. Div and K hoping to help close this thing out now. 1.57 meters still remaining. Hutchkey doing a great job of staying alive, but the stall on this point is just unstoppable right now. They need to eventually force them off of this point, but it's just not going to happen, Spec. They're just going to get forced off 1v1, and unfortunately, they just couldn't pull it out there in the end, even after they managed to get rid of Tomakita to get that Bob out.
That's a lot of effort for 20 centimeters there. I mean, even though they find the opening kill, right, it's just that 2CP scenario spawns so close. The recontest can be there essentially permanently if you don't find a clean team fight win. And, you know, hemorrhaging for kills were ODL, just, you know, deaths going on and on and on. We just spawned so far back. Unfortunately, there's no way you win that bar. An absolutely ridiculous clutch up that we don't see. Still, I mean, that's obviously fantastic progress. Meter 57, I believe, away from completing the map entirely. That's very, very respectable. Super strong shake of the stick. Godstat going to have to do the same now. Replicate that same feat to tie themselves up 1-1 in this series. Else, ODL University will be heading into our break with a huge advantage, with a series point ready to close out. What exactly do we see here? Very curious, actually. A lot of teams, especially during the kind of peak of Ana Brig, would play Ashe on the defense, Echo on the offense. But it looks like both these teams are comfortable enough with their respective choices. We got the Echo out from solo for the first time this this series, actually. And Ton Makita back on that Ashe.
Yeah, and honestly, it's not surprising, all things considered. It is clear these players have their own comforts right now. Tomakita has comfort on this Ashe Solar. I mean, has had comfortability kind of moving around as well, but I think they'll do fine on this Echo. It's just going to bring a bit of trouble because Tomakita is going to be their #1 fan. They're going to try to find them every minute of every single fight. So for the time being, you kind of have to play safe in this situation. But the bright side is ODL University, they don't necessarily have to act first. They just have to make sure that the Godsite just doesn't do whatever they want. Which, you know, could be rough, but for the time being, we're going to see...
Oh my god.
Oh, that is the worst case scenario. You lose 2 immediately. Tomakita does go down, though, so you have the ability to set up some kind of stabilization, but you're probably giving up a tick, if not 2, in this situation.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice to get the backline kills. Now, with your reaggress, there's a real chance here. Hutchie has to live, though. Hutchie absolutely has to live. Sky Commander should be thinking about chasing that frag, actually, but can't. ODL University, they'll be able to get back on.
Yeah, back on that point. Now, Sky Commander, not a whole lot of heals to work with either. You see they're going to get forced away a little bit here. Going to grab that Mega on the side, I imagine. And now, going to be able to regroup, but ODL does have a chance to kind of get through. And unfortunately, if they get hit with another nade like that, that could just be the curtain call.
I mean, that was a fantastic opener here. See if it can be replicated by Akaj.
Ooh, Solar not in the best situation right now. Trying to hide away as Ashe and a Diva on their tail, but eventually... actually going to be able to kind of force out a little bit of space here. Good stickies as well. Going to get a good amount of charge off of that. Nearly dies for it, but at the end of the day right now, we see the bit of the separation right now. Sky Commander hoping to find something in the situation. Going to get knocked out of mech. Not going to take anybody with them either, and they're not going to be able to remech on top of that. So now Hutchkey going to be forced in this situation to be able to clean things out there with the Primal Rage. And pretty good, all things considered. It was sloppy, but at the end of the day, ODL sports stay with each other. Hutchkey managed to stay alive and separate people. They're playing this pretty well.
I mean, at the end of the day, it might have been sort of sloppy, but they only used the Primal Rage to convert the fight. That's very, very comfortable for them. Yeah. Now they've got the rally, to jam the choke. if they so wish. They've got the Nano Boost for more structured engages. The duplicates coming online, that's the furthest from them. Of course, Pulse Bomb, always just a useful tool to have. Godstack have many of the same abilities, but not the same ability to actually make use of those traces, although it could be huge.
Yeah, and right now,
Oh my God.
not even going to need the Pulse on that one. 2 down already. We're going to see the rally come online just to double down the situation. Solar does end up getting rid of 1 and is going to have that copy coming online. So it becomes a question if you really want to hard invest in the situation, but I think with it just being Hades and Solar, it's a real question if you want to re-engage here, but I don't think it's even possible. Oh.
Ika just throwing arm is absolutely
what?
fantastic. Solar, that was a troll. There's no two ways about it. You didn't have to engage. You're not getting reasonable stall, and it makes it harder for you to fight corner now. So big mistake, I think, from Solar. Won't matter a crazy amount in the grand scheme of things, but could just be an extra bit of momentum that allows the God Stack to really start snowballing.
Yeah, I was really thinking they were going to copy there.
There we go.
There's the Pulse Bomb. That it comes out this time. That's being taken care of. And like I said, I thought they were going to invest in that situation, maybe use it to kind of copy on the Diva. And you can stall long enough as a copy Diva. You can live a long time on that point. But now, this situation, you're getting forced back more and more. The point's moving along. And they're finally going to go aggressive. We're going to see a great ante coming online here. BKJ going to be taken out eventually, but they're going to be kept alive by MCG instead in this situation. But unfortunately, Hutchkey going to go down in return. So once again, they're going to have to back off here. Godstack moving ahead, and unfortunately, it's not looking like David NK is going to have much luck getting out of here. But, okay, never mind.
Anna Break is just the dumbest backline of all time. The stuff that this comp can survive is just... They're like cockroaches. Every time you try and step on them, they just keep on keeping on. I mean, this fight here, this recontest from ODL University isn't terrible. It's not great either. You would have loved the Nano or a Primal. The God Stack, they have so much forward positioning.
Yeah,
and a nade as well.
Yeah, but that Pulse Bomb, not quite going to find what it was hoping for, and now you have Godstack clearing it out. A copy to see if they can clutch it. This copy that has been there, by the way, since the first point ended up happening, and now it's not going to get the value you hope for. You're going to get a Bob here, but the point's already capped, so it's not like the stall's going to mean anything. You're going to get rid of 1, but at this point, it doesn't really matter how many you get rid of. It's not adding to your ult charge. If anything, it's just taking longer to be able to reset if you're ODL University.
It's just mental damage, really, and won't matter too much in the end of things. Godstack have plenty of time heading into third point, but ODL University too had the same, and remember where that got them. 3 minutes and 30 seconds to burn off the bank for the defensive side. The Godstack just looking to complete with time or not. That will win them out the map. Con, though, loses out the duel. Soda, a great start to things.
Yeah, Solar has been doing really well on this Hanzo. They've kind of gone through it sporadically throughout the series so far, but I've seen it be nothing but impressive thus far. And now you get the first of many stops you're going to need here at ODL University. But the bright side is here, you can get something going. Unfortunately, though, Godstack's sitting on all 5 ultimates now.
Yeah, that's going to be super tricky. I mean, Nano, Bob, Rally, really the threatening ones. I'd expect it's going to start off with a Nano boost and then kind of rally as appropriate. Yeah. But we'll have to wait and see. Double hit scan for ODL means they don't have the divers to pressure the backline. Oh dear, Hutchie, you're going to have to primal out this one.
No, they're going to hold on to it. Now they're going over the backline. Now they're going to primal. They have a lot of damage coming their way, though, so it's going to be a little bit more about survival than actually being able to get rid of any kills here, because they're going to be forced back, taking so much damage right now. You see the Pulse being used, not going to find anything. The Nano coming online, Hades, it's a being your recipient going down, and now you have to worry about who can touch this point, because you have no ultimates to work with. Hutchie's going to be able to get eliminated very quickly. You haven't even used the bomb or the Bob yet. It's such a rough situation for Hutchie to stay alive. They're not going to be able to, and now it's just the flooding of bodies onto the point, but not even going to make it. Godstack going to be able to clean it up, take the series to 1-1. And I'll say it, what a display from them here to be able to pull off that attack and do it in, I'm going to say, relatively quick fashion.
No, that was pretty dominant, honestly. I mean, I spoke, I think, a little bit earlier about how that death from Solar could have led to a snowball, and maybe not explicitly, but obviously there was most definitely a snowball throughout that map. Yeah. Not really stopped where the Godstack passed that first point, and I think part of it was not being able to fight that corner. Like, really, you would have liked to. You know, when all said and done, we're tied up here 1-1. This game, it seems to be the one to go the distance.
I mean, I think it really does have that possibility, because we see the strengths that both of these teams have. I think it's very clear who is, quote-unquote, better at what at this point, so you kind of have to work around it. But that's the great part about the regular season. It's not loser's pick. These maps are predetermined, so teams know ahead of time what they're going to do. And if you're in an unfortunate situation where you're getting countered, you can kind of only hope that you have something else to pull out, or that the map is going to be able to kind of suit towards you. But We're going to find out because we are going to have Clash on the other side, newest game mode after this break, so don't go anywhere because we might finally have our first Map 5 banger on the way.
Let's have a bit of fun till I downfall. My love, if you feel like I do right now, don't say you're on the run to the other side, my love. But you never do. Sugar, there's a reason why we lose. You say you wanna cry, but you never do. Sugar, there's a reason why we lose. Let's have a bit of fun till I downfall. My love, if you feel like I do right now, don't say you're on the run to the other side, my love. You say you wanna try, but you never do. Sugar, there's a reason why we lose.
back from our halftime break, and currently our series tied up 1-1 so far. And as things have gone so far, Spec, it has been a bit of a back and forth affair. Both teams clearly having their own advantages and disadvantages on top of that. But it's back to even ground now, tied up after halftime. And as things gone right now, I mean, both teams in terms of what they've been able to play and haven't played, they have seen pretty 50-50 so far.
Yeah, I mean, it seems to be, at least on paper, that they're both relatively strong on, both this dive and brawl that they've played. Obviously, the advantages have been to ODL University on brawl. On dive, seems like Godstack had the upper hand. And I think you were saying earlier, Hunter, but as we look throughout the rest of this series, Hanaoka, Colosseo, Watchpoint, Gibraltar, absolutely this could go all the way to 5. We'll have to wait and see exactly if the chips are going to fall that way. But like we've been saying, could be the game that goes the entire distance. Hanaoka going to be coming up next, and I believe the map that holds the CGL record, 2 minutes 38 seconds, the speed run. We'll see if that's going to be eclipsed now. I suspect not, but I'm going to have the timer up anyway.
Yeah, we might as well. I don't think so quite either, but we never know. I mean, this is a situation where on Hanaoka, I think you're open to run the brawl or the dive of the situation. I think both are very viable. Teams might go towards that brawl just maybe a little bit more, but I think at the end of the day, you can really go either way. I think we'll see the comfortability of both these teams kind of going into this map, but it's also Hanaoka. A lot of weird things can happen. A lot of different comps can still come out here because, it's just one of those maps where a lot of things can work.
I mean, part of that is just because it's new, right? I
Yeah.
mean, people... At least me, I don't feel super comfortable playing Hanaoka just because I've got 10 reps in my life on the map, and I think that does always breed a lot of time for people to figure out exactly what's going to work, the specific strats to make that map, tick. I mean, how different would so many of the push maps have been if people hadn't discovered like bridge stalls, for example, or just how viable Widowmaker is going to be an escort, stuff like that. That takes time to develop. And on a new game mode, where we're still kind of figuring out the ins and outs of Clash as a game mode as well, it means that it's going to be a lot of stuff thrown at the wall. Just people kind of standing back and seeing what sticks.
Yeah, 100%, because even though it kind of has been around for a reasonable amount of time, I think we're looking at like a month now, maybe slightly more. That's still not enough time to fully get down this thing. You get down certain habits. A lot of teams have been learning when to finally back off of points, when to not risk the re-engage, because this is very much in that 2CP-like situation before the spawns were super terrible, because there was a time where they weren't god-awful, where if you would go for that stall on first point, and you would mess up and not do it right, you could just get snowballed right into the second point, and with the way Hanaoka is, or Clash in general, that is a genuine possibility we could see here, especially early on, when we kind of start out with that C and eventually get to that B or D point. So I'm just hoping that neither of these teams stall out, and honestly, don't make the wrong choice and stall unnecessarily.
Yep, one thing to pay attention to here is, very obviously, it's going to be the defender sided pretty much every single time. But what is also worth kind of mentioning is the fact that different points are going to favor or not favor certain comps at different times. Obviously, having this high ground that they've got set up is going to be incredibly useful, that we could will be overlaying on the second point. First point, these big gaps kind of make it hard for brawl comps to scale actually onto the objective. Again, there's that room for that crossfire. Last point, what can you really get done with dive? There's not much distance to cover. It's essentially just Ryan range every kind of way you look. So that's something else to think about, when we're talking about what team maybe has advantage or disadvantage on any certain objective.
Yeah, and again, I think they're relatively open to do what they will, but I still think, in a sense, this middle point, even to a degree, the second points of B and D, can kind of favor that dive as well, because there are some weird high grounds to work with on a lot of those points. AD, way more straightforward in terms of that, and plus the spawns that exist there, it's going to be really tough to pull that off. We don't see a lot of instances of teams instantly hitting the 5-0, but you clearly have seen it before. You have watched it happen firsthand. I haven't quite yet, and I don't imagine this will be the day I see it either. But we'll see their comfortability right now. I'm looking at these comps over, where I can see them. One of them clearly is not real.
If they play this comp, then I don't really know. I'm going to have to ask Headrammer to double my rate just in terms of, psychic damage, you get me?
That's crazy. Oh.
They'll have to take me away chattering to, an asylum in a straitjacket.
I mean, I've seen Hog work. Not on this map, but I've seen Hog work. But we'll,
Listen. Whoever, if you're thinking about making hard work, mate, you ain't jumping, and it's not gonna cook.
Yeah, but one thing we should kind of bring up a little bit more as well is because we have the substitutions coming through, and I think the biggest thing that I really want to bring into account, Steenie comes back in, we saw them back on the Juno, likely to see them again, but EKJ is on the tank now, which means they're cooking up something, because they're not just going to run the Ramatra back, right? They have to have some different tank, like a Queen or like a Doomfist that they realistically want to try to run here, right?
I mean, that's my first thought as well. I mean, there's no reason to swap everything around like this if you're just going to play the same heroes you were on before. But I guess we'll have to wait and see. Maybe it was even an availability thing on that first map with Oxo just not being here. They had to kind of rejig everything. But both comps going to be out now. ODL University on the Reaper, that's a new look. Everything else more or less the same. This Juno Reinhardt strat. And Ramatra at the other side of things.
Yeah, 100% here. And I like both comps in this situation. The thing is, Hades and Solar are going to be able to play up close, and they're able to kind of deter someone like EKJ from really playing the way that they want to play. But it's going to change when this point opens up, because now as ODL University, you put yourself at a disadvantage if you drop your Rhine onto this point. It's going to be a lot tougher to kind of defend things right now. Godsec does have a lot of mobility in terms of the fact that they can get some wherever they want to go very quickly. Here's the ODL kind of take the aggression here, go for the pin, and eventually not going to really find anything, but Godsec going to start clearing things out. The pin, I mean, I'll be honest, just kind of end up separating the rest of their team in that situation, and you just can't do a whole lot with that situation.
I mean, you just can't do much. Like I said, you have to be able to clash on the same side of the map with these brawl comps. If you can't, whoever has range just wins. In this case, it's the God Stack. I mean, the Reaper, the Rhine, both of those are pretty poor at the poke stage. Let's be real here. And so it's the God Stack who take momentum first. Point cap will take a while, but they could get this snowball started. ACAJ, 72% of the way towards this annihilation, could catch ODL University off guard when they've built into absolutely nothing of their own.
No, nothing at all. But hey, that's a great way to start right now. Tomakita gets taken out here, but Winslow has a while to really get through, so you're going to see them back off immediately and regroup. But ODL very smartly decide they want to push this. They want to try to see if they can force some things out, maybe get rid of a second member. They're going to get rid of that Nemesis farm, which means Godsec is going to have to engage a little bit late here, and there's going to be a little bit more pressure for EKJ to be able to stay on the point.
There's an annihilation, though. ACAJ will he pop it? Will he try and live?
He will, and they're going to go for this, but the freeze is coming online too. If Solar stays alive, they can just throw this freeze down, and they're probably going to do that right now. Just directly down into them. The freeze is going to get rid of them, likely going to separate them, but they have to reload. They're not going to be able to get rid of them, and now you don't have a whole lot to work with. You're taken out, and now realistically, you're looking at a 2-0 situation because you're losing bodies, and Staney's going to use the orbital ray for nothing, essentially.
I mean, there has to be a fat finger, right? The numbers advantage is so far away from you. You get very little benefit there.
No.
And so it's 2-0 right now. The God Stack could snowball this point with the lack of ultimates, the dearth that ODL University have. The Juno also online for MCG. This could be it, Hunter.
I mean, honestly, there's a possibility right now. You don't have a ton to work with, and that Shatter and eventually that Bob are going to be very lethal on this point here, but you want to be careful how much you engage in the situation because you can probably secure the fight if you use both, realistically speaking. As you see right now, they're kind of holding back right now, waiting for their opportunity, letting them get a little comfortable, and now they're going to hit the side angle, hoping to get rid of Staney or Esker. Both are getting pressured out, and eventually, it looks like Esker is going to be taken out. You don't get the Bob either? Well, I mean, Spec, I'm confused. The Shatter only manages to find onto nobody? What are they doing?
Yep. I don't know. Everyone's to the stagger fight now. Godstack just have to survive is the name of the game. If they can keep 5 members up, eventually they'll close this out. Why are you standing still?
Rule number 1 of Overwatch, don't stand in one place. A terrible idea. And now you've lost that. You're going to get bodies on this. And honestly, it doesn't look like you're going to get a tick now as Khan is going to have to hit the recall. Gets headshot by Hades. And now Tomakita has no chance in the world of getting back here in the situation. So Godstack go for that play. And at the end of the day, they don't even get an extra point off of it.
Giving a kill there is obviously always terrible, but it sucks so much worse. It's Ton Makita. That Bob was going to be such a strong tool, especially in broken down fights like the last point is often going to breed. Instead, ODL University are given a second lease of life. They can attack second point at an advantage. Huge mistake.
Yeah, Hutchie, I don't know if you're getting out of this one alive, buddy. You are staring on the face of Ramatra, who's not playing around. They're not going to find anything. Solar, though, on this Venture now, I mean, fair play to them right now. The Venture's still a pretty strong character right now, kind of swinging away, and Now Stany hoping to help out Esker in the situation. Hutchie's going to go and match the Ramatra as Hades is popping off and Solar there to help them. And now, all things considered, I mean, Spec, it looks like they're going to tie this thing up now.
That they will. They'll be able to battle for point C again as well. Advantage is going to be in favor of the God Stack, at least in terms of the check marks, that's for sure. But, I mean, ODL University, just having the Orbital Ray, you know, getting closer to that Tectonic Shock as well, they're not in a bad spot either, financially speaking. So, the God Stack could have been, you know, teed up to win this game out. Instead, could be losing it here.
Yeah, Pulse Bomb going to be used. Not going to find anything in that situation. But again, Hades Solar been deadly throughout a lot of this right now, but Godstack are investing literally everything they have to win this fight. Looks like they will be successful with it, but with how fast everybody has been dying, as Khan got a 3K, by the way, I mean, it's not necessarily a confirmation they'll get at this point, but I think at this point, it's rather comfortable.
This fight's taken, yeah. The next fight, though, is what I'm kind of worried about, because they've spent everything, as you mentioned. They're so far from even the closest ultimate being Pulse Bomb at 43%. Ooh. I mean, ODL University, they've got both DPS ults. They should win it out with one, realistically, but they've got a second one for insurance, we'll call it.
Man, you gotta be careful how long you're waiting to use that shield in that situation. You're taking a lot right now. Solar, though, is down, and alright, Hades just wants to hit headshots, but Stany, unfortunately, is down very early here. Hades is getting burnt away. The Bob's going to be used in a situation where it's not really going to be on the card necessarily, but it is deterring a lot of Godstack from moving around right now. So right now you're just hoping to get a little bit of space, and they get caught out. Khan is gone. You no longer have a great ability to kind of hit up that backline very easily, and now you're on this point hoping the ECADs can somehow catch on to somebody. But again, it's these DPS of ODL University that have been stepping up so much and kind of pulling these fights back for them. And as things are right now, just going to have a little bit of stall from ECAD and Khan coming back. And it looks like, again, we're going to be in a 3-3 situation. And while Godstack is caught up on some ultimates, I mean, ODL still has some very important ones online.
At the end of the day, that was ODL University's really quite strong fight. And while they have been able to charge into yet more, the Godstack, at the end of the day, have been given time to build some of their own. So they've got this Orbital Ray, they've got an Annihilation. They have a decent chance, and now they can fight on even terms again.
Yep, it's going to come online here. Not going to catch anybody's quite yet, but it is causing a lot of separation right now. And it's going to be able to get rid of Tamakita right now, who was trying to get up to that bomb. But Esker going to go down to ECAD, and ECAD is going to go for a little bit of the investment here, as it looks like once again, Godstack in a great position to win this right now. As things right now, it's just Solar and Hutchkey who need clean bodies. You need to go. You can't sustain on this point. You have to find a body, and you have to go on it. And unfortunately, don't think it's quite going to happen here, as Hutchkey's doing a really great job just staying alive, eventually going to be taken out. But ODL eventually lose out. They use some really good ultimates. And now, I mean, this is just a reverse situation of a couple of fights ago.
Yeah, Godstack back in the driver's seat here. They've got pretty huge ult advantage. Honestly, both support ults, both DPS ults, just missing out that Annihilation. I mean, it's such a frugal fight to win. That's such a huge advantage heading into that next. We've already seen an attempt at a snowball here. Godstack going in for seconds now.
Yep, Primal gonna get, not Primal, Recall gonna get forced away early here, and now Khan's going in the situation, hoping to find a Pulse Bomb here. Pulse Bomb could very well end the situation, but Solar already getting rid of Tamakita. Again, stalling out the fact of getting that Bob, which is what's so rough. You wanted the Bob for this fight right now, but Hutchkey gonna go down here. Hades needs to live. There is no better way to say it. They need to live. That Bob's gonna go on to the point. Gonna be able to stall things out for a while, give them a chance right now, but they're gonna get ran down and Esker taken out. Hades would be lucky to live as well, and now Hutchkey gonna come back on this Reinhardt, but it might all be said and done because this is gonna be a really rough touch.
It really is, yeah. You've got to battle for it. This is going to be the Godstack's fight. This is going to be their map. There will be a touch, that's for sure.
Ooh. Yeah, the touch indeed, just barely, and now Bob's gonna come online, the Bob of Death potentially. What a move up in the air, and now that should sink the death bells for ODL University. Trying to go on one at a time, but Tamaki cleaning things up here. Unfortunately, the ult disparity going to be a little too much to deal with. Godstack just take Hanaoka 5-3, puts themselves on match point. And, I mean, that was incredibly back and forth for a while, but ODL, unfortunately, making the same mistake that Godstack made and just used too many ultimates in a fight that they didn't even end up winning.
I mean, I gotta say, at the end of the day, remember we had Godstack who were basically poised to take the map already in the first couple minutes.
Yeah.
You know, they win it in the end. They just made it a little bit longer than it had to be. So at the end of the day, they get their point. I reckon they were on that map the stronger team, but I think it was more of the mistakes on the side of the Godstack than I think anything super impressive out of ODL that got it that way. I think from ODL University, it has most definitely just been the DPS who've been impressing me. I think Solar and Hades have been coming up huge time and time again, but unfortunately that time just not really large enough to take the map. And so now against that point, you're going to have to play with their backs to the walls for the rest of this series. Colosseum coming up next. That's going to be another map that's, you know, if I had to guess, a little bit more brawly, more than anything else. And again, we reckon that kind of will favor ODL University on paper a little bit more, but having seen that Hanaoka, sorry. How are we feeling for this series, Hunter? 3-1, 3-2? What's it going to be?
I still think it's a 3-2 situation, and the big reason I think so is, again, we talk about the DPS of ODL University and how good they've been. This is another map that allows Hades to get back on that Ashe, and they have perhaps performed at the highest peak thus far in terms of DPS throughout the series on that Ashe. They've done a phenomenal job, and I think the ability to eventually play these high grounds on either side is going to give them a massive advantage. I'm just really worried about what the rest of ODL University wants to do, because Ryan here is going to be very tough. You don't have as good a Ramatra as the other team, unfortunately, from everything that we've seen. So the question is, how do you try to respond here when most of what you have tried tank-wise isn't really shaping up as you would hope?
I mean, yeah, I agree with you on the Ryan takes, definitely. I mean, I'd even rather see a Diva here, for example. Yeah. I think Ryan just can do nothing over this distance. So as long as we avoid that, honestly, I'm happy enough with how everything's going to shape up. But, you know, if we do see that out, we're going to have to do some really quite impressive tempo play to actually scale this Reinhardt, because otherwise it's just, I mean, borderline impossible, no?
Yeah, I mean, it is. It's just one of those maps where you would think they'd be able to close the distance, but it's not that easy with the way the meta is right now. We're just, with the way, honestly, push works here on Colosseo in the situation, especially those long sight lines. You don't have any vertical mobility to really get up like a Winston, like a Diva, and that's the advantage you have running those characters. So now I'm really curious what they're going to bring is, we're going to wait for things to get in here. And in terms of the other side of Godstack, I don't know if you change a single thing, to be quite honest.
No, I mean, why would you? You're finding a lot of success. The only time you really got tested is when you just stand still, get double beans, and get snowballed off the back of that, right? I mean, why would you make it more complicated than it has to be? Because, you know, after we moved off of Lijiang Tower, I think God Squad has been, you know, maybe not head and shoulders above, but a fair distance in front of definitely their opposition. They seem to be the ones who look to close this out, and not necessarily what we expected going into this series, but that's the reality that we've got to sit here and feast our eyes upon. And yeah, as you mentioned, just keeping everything the same, I mean, that seems like the fastest way to a 3-1 victory for me. I think as long as they just continue performing at their level, then Colosseo should be theirs.
I mean, realistically, yeah, you kind of have the momentum. You go into a map like Hanaoka, where momentum does mean a fair amount in that situation. It is very easy to snowball on a map like that, all things considered. Obviously, the spawns are 2 CP-like, they're very close, but even when they were in that situation, they were able to like bounce back every single time they got to see. We never saw the other side of that map. We never got there. And that speaks a lot of what Godstack can do as a team, especially on this Ramatra comp that they seem very comfortable on, especially with ECAJ now in there. I think they seem way more comfortable. And the fact that they seem kind of lost in that first map makes a lot of sense now.
Yeah, I mean, that's my guess as well. I mean, it's terrible. It is just terrible. And, you know, honestly, making it competitive, if there was what was happening, would be super impressive from them. But now everything is right as rain. I think we're seeing a different side, but most definitely to the God stack. And that is why we've seen this huge gap open up between these two teams.
Yep. Now the team's making any substitutions. Either going to stay in, which in that situation still makes me think that they want to try to run the Juno in the situation. But honestly, I'm going to have to wait and see. I know that, you know, there's a possibility it'd be something else, but I want to see what they're both running first and foremost, because I'm really up in the air of what ODL should run. And right now, really? I mean,
wait and see.
That looks like a real composition. I'm just going to say it. That's a real composition.
I mean, if you want to. I mean, this feels like the kind of comp that could get run down pretty quickly, but Godstack isn't running a whole lot of speed either, unless they decide to move to Juno last second, but they will, okay. So Godstack is going to be the quicker composition. Yeah, and, you know, I think the break here is definitely stronger than the Zenyatta in most cases. Into what the God stack are playing, though, I mean, yeah, Con's going to have a harder time of things, but ECAJ might just be super, super free. If he can get in close, this backline is going to be dying on a repeat, so too is Hudshake.
Yeah, 100%. But you already see kind of the engagement being brought in. Hutchkey is not really going to have much of an answer for this Nemesis form, unfortunately. They have to hope that rock hits, and unfortunately, Christian's not going to quite work in that situation. But Solar's in a rough situation already, gets taken out by Khan. And already you lose Tracer 1v1. You lose a big part of what really makes this work. So now ODL University is just kind of going to get slowly burnt away here. Hutchkey can't stop these punches from going through. It's not like a Reinhardt who can pin away, or, you know, you're someone else like a Sigma who can kind of just block things out a little better. This is a rough situation. They're getting pushed back, and we're already at 25 meters, and there are no signs of it stopping anytime shortly.
Getting these late kills is so valuable. A minute in, and already we're getting closer and closer to those forward spawns. The God Stack looking to put ODL University away lightning fast. And already concentrating up this flank as well. This could be an assassination. Staney looks to survive, at least for now, but that's resources forced and fear instilled permanent in the minds of the backline of the now defensive side.
Yeah, and I'd be concerned if you decide to stay on this any longer. Hades does find someone, which is exactly what you're hoping for in this composition. Solar also going to go over to the Hanzo as well. I also like that swap as well, but right side is you're surviving on this point right now. But ECAJ right now getting closer and closer to this ultimate, and they might even need in this situation because they're just getting burnt away. ECAJ eventually going to give it up, but still 64 meters in the first 2 minutes. That's a very far amount to get, especially when all you used was the pulse bomb.
Yeah, super impressive, and, you know, because they only use that pulse from this next fight, I mean, with Annihilation and Nemesis form, and Orbital Ray, sorry, I mean, we've seen a couple of these now, Hunter. They've got essentially an 100% fight conversion rate, right?
Yeah.
It's just so much firepower. The Flugs could stop it if you just arrest that momentum physically, but other than that, the God Stack pretty squishy to it.
Yeah, that's the thing. You just eventually when you go, you know, for this ultimate, you have to find someone who's squishy realistically, because there's no way you're going to kill ECAJ in that situation. It's just never going to happen. It has to be worst case scenario for them. Hutchkey right now needs to focus on staying alive, which is a little easier said than done right now. Orbital Ray going to be used a little far in the back. It's going to buy them space, and now they're going to double down the situation. Flux going to come online. Going to catch onto ECAJ right now. Not going to end up going low enough realistically. If the rock hits, it could be enough, but a great rally to really keep their tank alive right now. But damage already been done a little bit. Hades already has a 2K to their name, taken out by Khan, but damage, again, might already be done. They need to get rid of ECAJ as soon as possible right now because they're just sustaining around this corner, essentially for free. As, again, these ultimates being used, but they're not getting a whole lot, but eventually it will get cleaned up. ODL taking the fight, not giving it any more meterage, and maybe get MCG on the way out.
I think if the damage pressure is high enough to force ECAJ to block, you know, permanently or semi-permanently, and then Hutchie can actually live, you know. That frontline being squishy is kind of what we're talking about if ECAJ is playing consistently to just, punch. But with this Juno break, you're more of a poke composition than anything else, I'd argue. And so Hutchie is actually winning out this poke, and that's finding a lot of a frontline advantage here. It's how ODL University finding this much success.
Yeah, now you're sitting at 40+ meters. Bob is going to get used. It goes way in the back line. It's actually at a really convenient spot for ODL. Stan needs to be very lucky to stay alive, and unfortunately Solar in a really rough situation where they need to try to get out and back out, and just honestly ODL taking a full reset, and everyone looks like they're going to stay alive, but the pulse bomb sticks perfectly, and that's going to create the sweep, and that's just going to create a big cleanup.
Yeah, again, back onto the blue side of the map are the God Stack. Again, winning fights out are the God Stack, and they'll be working on their lead a smidgen more. Last time they got just a forward spawns, Solar is off the map. I want to call that a reset, but I don't know why he'd be resetting. Either way, it's back now. ODL University will be able to fight in relatively short order. A bull, I don't mind, but where's the DPS for it?
There's not the DPS for it. You're still playing a poke composition, but you're playing it with a dive tank. Like, this isn't meshing well together, and I don't know what else you would together with, because at this point, realistically, you just go with the Diva instead. Like, if you want to do that, you just go with the Diva, you can play with that. But now you're going to lose Eskar early. Spectre, say it with me. They need to do a full swap if they're going to play ball. They have to.
I don't fully agree, but I think you do need a Tracer or Sombra or Echo. I do think the Bull is often more of a poke hero than anything else, but I don't think this is the map for it. I'm going to be real with you. I don't think this is the time for it, and I think you're going to really struggle. Yeah, Diva going to be a hell of a lot easier just to sit there, poke the front line. You're not going to find any assassinations, isolations on the Wrecking Ball character here.
Yeah, and now you're in a situation where you're going to hopefully put a stop to this. Bob is going to get put into a corner where it's not going to find any real value. It's just going to be on this thing, and ECAJ can just sit here. Nothing's gonna kill them right here. They're just gonna sit here. They're gonna have some fun, just stall out the card a little bit. They're gonna get pushed back, but Octo and MCG are there, and ECAD just gonna double down the situation. They're literally using it just to basically stall out. Hades is on top. They're gonna manage to get rid of one. No one can really touch them very easily in this situation, so they're gonna be able to take pot shots away. But unfortunately, they're getting drained away. And Spectreon, I think honestly, we might be in the last few seconds of this map, because now it's a wonder if anyone can even come and touch this point with 3 meters, 2 meters, 1 meters. No one's gonna make it, and that is a dominant finish for Godsack to win the series 3-1.
Started out competitive, but at the end of the day, just a 3-1. Godsack heat up crazily once they get their full 5 in, and evidently we get to see this success here, a full completion on Colosseo off the back of this Ramatra comp that ECAD seems so comfortable on. And unfortunately for ODL University, after they started strong, it seemed like they just were struggling a little bit, didn't really have the answers for what they were getting beaten by. And that was on multiple compositions as well, right? Obviously, it looked the most scattered here, but on Numbani as well, it did seem a little bit lost from them.
Yeah, in that situation, and that's where things really kind of turned around in the situation, because ODL seemed strong in that first map. We go into the second, and they don't have a bad attack, all things considered. Getting to the very end of Numbani is still good. All things considered, that's a really tough thing to get through. It's in the same realm of like Havana, like third point, that it's very tough to finish. But also that Godstack made it look very easy to get through it, because they finished with like, what, maybe like 2.5 minutes still on that clock, which is a ton of time to finish that map on in general. And from there, it unfortunately kept snowballing, and unfortunately I think it got worse and worse as time went on, and ODL kind of just fell behind.
Yeah, I mean, just that's the best way of describing it, really. It did seem like there was a little bit of like tilt towards the end. I mean, I know you and I disagreed slightly on the ball, but I think we can both agree that it was not the choice at the moment.
No.
I mean, ball on Colosseo, the best of times, isn't fantastic. You find some value on that kind of bridge section of the map, because you can find boops, you can get easy like turn slams. You know, past the bridge, you're going to find absolutely nothing. The hero just doesn't function past that. And so, yeah, we did see a pretty quick swap off of it, but I think Bull in general, when you're kind of swapping to him, as opposed to as a set plan, really just reeks of desperation. You've got to be a baller to make that hero work, and if you're not starting on Bull, you're probably not Skilo.
No, and I think at the end of the day, like, I'm not saying you can play everything, but there's a lot of things you can play. You just have to make sure if you're going to pick a specific tank, you bring the rest of your team that fits with that. You're running a Hanzo and an Ashe with the ball, and none of those heroes are inherently bad. They just do two entirely different things and don't get as much value when they don't have better counterparts. But unfortunate situation, ODL is going to drop to 0-3. Dreams of being in the midseason do end up going away. But the bright side is they will get that break off. They will be able to scrim for an extra couple of weeks, not have the pressure of a match. But one thing we do know that Godstack is going to have is an interview. We're going to have this after this break, where hopefully be able to break down the action, as Godstack going to move up to 2-1 in the season. Welcome back from our break, ladies and gentlemen. We are on the other end of a 3-1 victory. Godsnack winning over ODL University, moving themselves up to 2-1 in the season. And joining us for a quick little interview, we have Ekent and MCG over on the side of Godsnack. And first of all, congratulations on a good 3-1 victory.
Thank you.
Yep. One thing we were both kind of talking about as I kind of went through about halfway through the series, we saw that Sky Commander ended up coming out for you, Ekech, and I was curious, is that a move that just came into place, or was someone running behind, or is that a usual situation, or was it just kind of an on-the-fly kind of change?
Well, we wanted to play the Brig Juno, and I don't really play over those characters, so I brought in Octo to play Brig, and then I move on to Tank. Because it seemed to work better when we play that.
You had a tank player, not a support player.
Yeah, I'm not really a support player.
Fair enough.
I mean, for me, I want to first ask you guys, when you're attacking Hanaoka, you're about to cap out in a 3-0 snowball, and then your Ashe just kind of dies going AFK. Can you give us any insight on what happened there? Because from us, it just looked like he goofed.
So our Brig was muted, didn't have packs, and our Ashe was calling for heals. And
Yeah.
this is miscommunication.
Oh my
god. That's rough to hear. And then I also want to ask you guys, obviously it was a pretty big step up in performance towards after map 1, really, from you guys. When you were playing this Numbani comp with the Ashe, the D.Va, and the Ana Brig, how are you guys hitting so many nades? Because at least from my perspective, it seems like every second one was just like a 2-man, 3-man purple.
I wasn't throwing nades first fight, and they told me to nade them. So I just every fight tried to nade them.
Okay.
I don't know, the Brig was always stood by a wall, so I just threw it at the wall, and they splashed over the shield.
Fair enough.
I mean, hey, it makes complete sense. But as things are right now, obviously, you guys are 2-0 right now in the season. If you win again, you guys are pretty much confirmed to be in that midseason tournament, because I believe it is top 4 that will get through. And got one more team waiting for you on the other side. I believe that's AG Vikings.
I think we have a bye next, no? So I think we have mid-season.
Do you? Let me double check my schedule. Do I have dumb brain? Let me let you guys know. Oh yeah. So I'm an idiot caster, and I have. I was going to ask you to give some teams about your opponent coming up, but you don't have an opponent coming up. That's unfortunate. But so I guess I'll ask this instead. You guys more than likely to get into that midseason tournament. So what's the confidence levels like going to that tournament against some good teams that you kind of haven't quite had the chance of facing yet?
I think we're going to come out with the win, to be honest. Our first week we got trioed, we didn't have our full roster. It was a pretty mismatch. But, now we do, so I think we can pretty much walk through the bracket.
No, I mean, hey, that's completely fair. But obviously, before we let you guys go and celebrate the win, if there's anybody you want to kind of take this opportunity to thank, whether it's your teammates, whether it's your parents, your cat, for all I care, if you want to thank somebody, this is it's an excellent time to do so.
Yeah, I'd like to thank Scorpion and Emperor for not being available today. That was pretty good.
I'd like to also thank Psychoka for coaching Connor on Tracer.
Hey, you know what? We'll take those. But either way, Ekaj, MCG, thank you very much for joining us at the interview, and congratulations, and go celebrate that win.
Thank you.
Thank you for casting, guys.
Of course. Well, I mean, respect, all things considered. I mean, again, we talked about the series being pretty even back and forth, but at the end of the day, again, a dominant finish for Godsnack on that second half of the series.
Yeah, they felt just like a rock rolling down a hill, just constantly gaining momentum, right? And when it gets to the end, just absolutely scorching through Colosseo. Obviously, not as close as we could have had, but honestly, pretty competitive series, one that was definitely entertaining from us. But I think that is pretty much all from us. Before we go, though, we've got some things to shout out that we have or haven't. Remember, we've got Kuno Ichi Cosmos on the weekend, starting on the Friday, continuing through the Saturday and the Sunday, I believe. Yeah, September 27th to 29th. Just the NA bracket, and signups are now closed, but don't worry, if you guys want to join the next one, the Discord is linked, and it is pretty open, pretty fun. Absolutely tune in for that. Then we've also got SNO, same time as it is every week. NA and EMEA games we're going to be shown there as well. Make sure you sign up for CGL tokens. We've got nice things like they allow you to get in-game cosmetics, allows you to get Discord Nitro, allows you to get nice little bonuses on the Manager CGL website as well. I think that's all the shout-outs that we need to advertise from me, Hunter.
Yeah, for the most part, except you're forgetting about my region. NA's got some
That's
action
true.
later
Boring.
tonight.
Sucks.
Really some EU favoritism over here. But
Shamelessly, yes.
we have Humchip Boys and BCS Bobcats VA going on later tonight. See if that one could potentially be our first Mat 5 on broadcast. Always a possibility, but gonna have to find out later tonight with a different set of casters. But I mean, all things considered, I think we can agree, Spec. We didn't get a 3-0 today. We prayed to the Blizzard gods that we somehow managed to pull that one off. And now we really hope we can keep it that way, because I need some 3-1s and 3-2s in my life. I can't keep doing the 3-0s. Can't.
Yeah, they are terrible. We've been blighted by them for too long. It's been myself, Hunter, in the booth, had a great time here. We've had Echo 20 and Little Joe been on the sticks. Hippie's been producing. Thanks to everyone who's worked on this broadcast. And I believe we will be bidding you adieu.